Hello and most welcome to 1915. And now we're starting a new article. It is by the philosopher of science, Paul Feyerabend.
Halleluja.
Finally, Wittgenstein's philosophical investigations. And this is also inspired that next year will be the centennial of the birth of Paul Feyerabend. 13th of January 1924. He would have been 100 next year. Feyerabend was hugely inspired by Ludwig Wittgenstein, whom he also met, if I'm not completely mistaken.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Guy. Wittgenstein's philosophical investigations. In discussing this book, I shall proceed in the following way. I shall first state a philosophical theory, T, which is attacked throughout the book. In doing so, I shall not use the usual statement of the theory, if there is any, but Wittgenstein's, which may, of course, be an idealization. Secondly, I shall show how the theory is criticized by Wittgenstein. First, using an example which plays a considerable role in the investigations, but which I have used to present arguments not presented in the book in connection with this example. Then discussing in general terms the difficulties revealed by the example. Thirdly, I shall state what seems to be Wittgenstein's own position on the issue. This position will be formulated as a philosophical theory, T1 or T dash, without implying that Wittgenstein intended to develop a philosophical theory. He did not. Finally, I should discuss the relation between the theory stated and Wittgenstein's views on philosophy, and I shall end up with a few critical remarks. Text without any of these quotation marks is an abbreviated statement of what Wittgenstein is saying. Saying. Well, I think Kalle wants me to read. The theory criticized is closely related to medieval realism about universals and to what has recently been termed essentialism. The theory, as presented by Wittgenstein, includes the following 5 main items. One, every word has a meaning. This meaning is correlated with the word. It is the object for which the word stands. Meanings exist independently of whether or not any language is used and which language is used. They are definite, single objects, and the order must be utterly simple. Simple.
Simple.
2, as compared with this definiteness and purity of meanings, the order must be of purest crystal. The, the actual use seems something muddied. That indicates an imperfection in our language. Three, this imperfection gives rise to 2 different philosophical problems. A, the philosopher has to find out what a word W stands for, or as it is sometimes expressed, he has to discover the essence of the object, which is designated by W. when its use in everyday language is taken into account. 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 From the knowledge of the essence of W, the knowledge of the whole use of W word will follow. Follow!
Oh.
B. He has to build an ideal language whose elements are related to the essences in a simple way. The method of finding a solution to a problem A is analysis. Analysis. This analysis proceeds from the assumption that the essence is hidden from us. But that it nevertheless must be found in reality. In reality, it must be there. However different the methods of analysis may be, analysis of the linguistic usage of W, phenomenological analysis of W, intellectual intuition of the essence of W. The answer to the problem A is to be given once for all and independently of any future experience. Hooray! The form of this answer is the definition. The definition. The definition explains why W is used in the way it is and why W behaves as it does. the solution of B is presupposed in the solution of A. For it provides us with the terms in which the definition that constitute the solution of A are to be framed. Framed. A definite solution of B implies a certain form of problem A. If it is assumed, for instance, that sentences are word pictures of facts, then what is a question is to be translated into what kind of fact is described by a question. The fact that somebody wants to know whether, or the fact that somebody is doubtful as to, etc. Or asking how the correctness of a certain analysis may be checked. We get the answer that the essence can be experienced. Experienced. Hooray! Experienced.
Experienced. Experienced.
This experience consists in the presence of a mental picture, a sensation, a phenomenon, a feeling, or an inner process of a more ethereal kind. Ethereal.
Ethereal.
Ethereal. Ethereal. To grasp the meaning means the same as to have a picture before one's inner eye, and to have understood the explanation means to have in one's mind an idea of the thing explained, and that it is a sample or a picture. The essence of the object denoted, the meaning of the denoting expression, these are one and the same thing. follows from an analysis of this picture, of this sensation. It follows from the exhibition of the process in question. Thus, the essence of sensation follows from an analysis of my present headache. Sorry, present headache. It is the presence of the picture which gives meaning to our words, which forces upon us the right use of the word, and which enables us to perform correctly an activity, reading, calculating, the essence of which it constitutes. Understanding, calculating, thinking, reading, hoping, desiring are therefore mental processes. Mental processes.
Mental.
5. From all this, it follows that teaching a language means showing the connection between words and meanings. And that learning a language consists in giving names to objects. So far, the description of tea, as it is implicitly contained in the philosophical investigations. Was a perfect time to stop because we went through all.
This page, let me see, page 451. 451 is investigations being the last word. Investigations. And 449, what a page.
Go back to page 450. I think you can recognize all these descriptions of tea. Every word has a meaning. And at the first line here, meanings exist independently of whether or not any language is used and which language is used. I think today there are only a few who wouldn't ascribe to this writing. Only a few. It's almost self-evident. The second one here, that's the fourth line. as compared with the definiteness and purity of meanings. Their order must be of purest crystal. The actual use seems something muddied. That indicates an imperfection in our language. That's why we need to look for an original, as we have seen Bible interpreters look for some original. The Bible is of some reason not enough. It needs to be clarified. It has unclarities, so that a single person can go beyond God and clarify things. It's muddied. Those who wrote were not clear, or it's the actual unclarity of language itself. Three, the task of the philosopher. A, the philosopher has to find out what the word stands for, or as it's sometimes expressed, he has to discover the essence of the object, which is designated by W, when its use in everyday language is taken into account. We go further down, we have a further explanation in two levels. A is the analysis. This analysis proceeds from the assumption that the essence is hidden from us. But that it nevertheless must be found in reality. However, the different methods of analysis may be analysis of the linguistic usage of W, or phenomenological analysis of W, deepening of the phenomenon W, or the third, intellectual intuition of the essence of W. What does really John mean when it's written John in the Bible, for instance? What is a question is given as an example here. So everything needs definitions, whereas in ordinary language we never defined a single word. It is extremely unusual. T, however, has that as its main purpose, to tell us what that is. What could it be? What is it? This is often called word pictures. If we go to like the fifth line from the bottom of that paragraph, just above 4, you go up a bit or down, whatever, yeah. If it is assumed, no, you were right, go back where you were. If it is assumed that sentences are word pictures of facts, then what is a question is to be translated into what kind of fact is described by a question. The fact that somebody wants to know whether, or the fact that somebody is doubtful as to, etc. So it's a way of regurgitating everything that is said, giving them definitions or explanations. So it's not enough to say I have a question, you need to explain what that is. I think a friend of mine had a variety of that. He asked so many questions. I said, my God, why do you put so many questions? And then he said, what is the meaning of why? It's a true story. And it never ends. And it confuses everything. And as we know, it takes away the meaning from language in the end. We stop understanding language. We do not longer participate in criterions of doings. We become excluded from reality. Further down, we have a more clear expression of this infirmity. To grasp the meaning means the same as to have a picture before one's inner eye. And to have understood the explanation means to have in one's mind an idea of the thing explained, and that is a sample or a picture. It's a bit like in the comics where you have this thinking bubble. It circles, go into a big bubble, and this is the contents of the mental space of the animated figure, Kalle Anka, Donald Duck, or Mickey Mouse, what he thinks. Whereas actually you never have any mental pictures. Doesn't even make any sense, but more about that later. The tendency to explain everything and have definitions and concepts for everything, whereas that is not happening in real language at all. Next page. So it follows from the exhibition of the process in question. Thus, the essence of sensation follows from an analysis of my present headache. So we have a picture of a headache in our head. And then we can say, we have a headache, or I have a headache. And 5 further down. From all this, it follows that teaching a language means showing the connection between words and meanings, and that learning a language consists in giving names to objects. So in one go, if we get both meaning and objects, 2 difficult things that are not solved until the event of quantum mechanics. And it plagues all thinking today. We have signed and signified, we are thinking about the objects, and we have the objects. We have the objects and we have the perception of the objects through our eyes, ears, tactile senses, and so on. The problems are endless and will cause harm. P is an unstoppable harmful tendency that Wittgenstein put a stop to or explained, but of course later about that. Kalle, please come in.
450. 450.
Please speak directly into the microphone a bit louder.
450. Yes, so this phrase, the essence is hidden from us,
Yes.
but that nevertheless must be found in reality.
Yeah.
And we should clarify reality is not what we mean with reality. Reality is, for the essentialists, it is in the Platonic world, that is, it's a word picture, reality for them. It's not reality in the lived world experience. In the no, so reality is a word picture, a picture for them, Platonic world. And
this is how we get to Platonism. This is the step before Platonism, which turns into Platonism or essentialism or reductionism.
So you could say that, so Wittgenstein writes, the actual use seems something muddied, and you could say everything for an essentialist is muddied in this world. That could be the word itself, world. World is also muddied.
Yeah.
And also, say, let's say manuscripts, in my case, so they are muddied because they are part of the world.
Yes, they are muddied. They need clarification.
Yes, the essence is in the picture or in the Platonic world somewhere. And I could tell you an experience from 2021 when I studied theology, and our teacher, Tommy Wasserman, had a question from a student who asked, "Is not etymology important to know the to know the real meaning of the words? Is not etymology better?" Tommy Wasserman answered, "Let me give you an example. The word grönsak, meaning vegetable in English, and grönsak you can divide in two parts. Grön, it means green, and sak means object. And in this, according to Wasserman, the word grönsak, that is vegetable or green thing, does not show anything. The etymology doesn't help you to know the meaning. In my view, this is an example of that you think that actual use and also etymology is somewhat muddied.
Yeah.
According to Wasserman, actual use and the etymology are muddied. So the real meaning of, let's say, of vegetable, it would be, yeah, I think perhaps he would take it in the Platonic world. It's not in the words themselves, somewhat.
Yeah, it will end up in a Platonic world or somewhere there in between, although your teacher might not admit it.
No.
But it would be crazy to say that the words are muddied, because that would mean 99.99% of everything we do is muddied.
And you will
a senior
end up
professor at some institution, he for some reason can define the word.
and you will end up trying to construct an ideal language like Esperanto. Or even David Bohm, even though he was extremely intelligent, he thought that he could actually construct a perfect language.
Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, good example. Yeah.
He has an excellent intentions. He tried to this other language would show only with verbs. This language would consist on many of verbs. It could express the essence of quantum physics.
Yeah.
Thinking of ideal language without any mud is a Platonic idea, actually.
Yeah, it ends up in Platonism. It could end up in Platonism, yes, definitely. According to Wittgenstein, all language is already quantum mechanical.
Absolutely.
And I think you can also see here that how this misunderstanding leads to Cartesianism. It leads to classical physics, where there is talking about the world and having a world. Those are two different things somehow. And T is followed by all philosophy and almost all subjects. You have definitions for words, which is absolutely, you don't need definition for words, you use them.
Mm.
And there is an example further down. It's a bit like saying that what is the purpose of tools, like a handyman's tools? Well, they have the purpose to change something. To manipulate something. That explanation is absolutely nonsensical, of no use whatsoever. It's like putting the cart before the horse. And this is how we lose track of reality, and we don't understand that the words are good themselves. So we need to explain the Bible more than the Bible is written, and add things. And Wittgenstein gives some examples by intuition, by what people thinking in general. There are different suggestions here you can do that with. And of course, it never ends. It never ends. And I think this is what's behind the left brain hemisphere, its dominance, this misunderstanding. Wittgenstein is the cure for the left hemisphere. Look at that. Yeah, he's accused of destroying science. And of course, they use that photo to show how he destroys science. Actually, he didn't destroy science, he's defending it. He's defending doings. Wittgenstein was very practical, and Paul Feyerabend, one of those only philosophers of science who said, well, there is nothing in common with the scientific method. There is family resemblance. I think you can recognize that, Kalle. Family resemblance. So he uses family resemblance instead of the idea that there is a definition for science, or that there is something underneath of all of science, like an essence. That's one of my favorite books. You passed by there, The Conquest of Abundance, published posthumously, and it was my inspiration for starting with Feyerabend. There's a chapter in that book for Wittgenstein, quite long as well, very good. So it's 1 o'clock. I think it's maybe can continue next time, tomorrow, or when suited. I say thank you very much for your comments, Kalle. Glad to have you around as always. And thank you everyone for listening in, watching in. Have a beautiful morning, day, afternoon, wherever you are. Bye-bye for now.